to speak to you, please. A round of applause for him while he comes. Thank you, sir. My name is Barrister Abubakar A. Ashat. I'm a private legal practitioner. I practice here in Kaduna. You know the difference between a private legal practitioner and a government practitioner? How many of you know the difference between a private legal practitioner and a government legal practitioner? In the first place, do you know who a legal practitioner is? How many of you know who a legal practitioner is? Nobody? Yes. What's your name?
Manuela Olawale. A legal practitioner is someone that do work that is approved by the government.
Well, partially true, because his work is the work of a legal practitioner is approved by the government. But a legal practitioner is a lawyer. You know who a lawyer is? Yes, a lawyer is somebody who went to the law school, before he now proceeds to the law school. Now, there are two groups of people that went to the law school or goes to the law school. We have people that start from part 1 and part 2. If you study abroad, if you study law abroad, maybe you went to England, you went to America and study law. If you go to law school, you cannot go to law school in England or America. You have to still come back to Nigeria. Just the same way as if you study abroad, if you want to do NYC, you still have to come to Nigeria and do your NYC. So also it is with law. If you go to America and study law, you have to come back to Nigeria if you want to become a lawyer. You go to America, you study law, you come back to Nigeria and go to law school. At the law school, you are expected to spend 2 years. While those who went to Nigerian University and read law will spend only 1 year at the law school. Those who went to America to study law will spend 2 years. The reason why they will spend 2 years is because they will be taught Nigerian legal system. Our legal system is unique and peculiar. It is not the same thing as American England legal system. Even though all Commonwealth countries, indigenous and local customary laws. So if you study abroad, if you come to Nigeria and you go to law school, your first year they will teach you Nigerian legal system. In Nigerian legal system, they will teach you our indigenous laws. They will teach you the Islamic law. They will teach you all cultural laws in Nigeria. That is how you become a lawyer. Now, I asked one of you to tell me the difference between a private legal practitioner and a government practitioner. If you qualify as a lawyer, if you want to be a private legal practitioner, you first of all go to a law office. You approach a senior lawyer and ask him and tell him that you want to learn how to practice law. The fact that you went to university for 5 years, you went to the law school for 1 or 2 years, that does not automatically qualify you as a lawyer. You only know the theoretical aspect of law. You don't know how to practice law practically. So by the time you become a lawyer, you will still have to go to a law firm. You have to meet a senior lawyer, somebody who has been a lawyer for some years. You have to go to his office and do what we call tutelage. We call it tutelage. Or while you call it apprentice. You have to learn 1, 2, 3 years. You have to learn how to practice law practically. Now, somebody who went to a private law office to learn how to practice law is called a private legal practitioner. A private legal practitioner is somebody whom you approach and say, I have this legal problem as a government lawyer. He is paid salary by the government. He is paid other allowances by the government. While a private legal practitioner is just like somebody who sells akara in the market or on the street. If he refuses to go to work, nobody pays him a dime at the end of the month. Now, how many of you want to become lawyers? Let me see. Who wants to become a lawyer? Nobody? Okay, how many? Raise up your hand very well. You want to become a lawyer? Now, if you want to become a lawyer, you have to specialize in art subjects. You have to specialize, you have to do well in English language, literature, maybe mathematics. Mathematics is not required, but one of the requirements for admission to university now is mathematics. But then you have to do well in art subjects, English language, English literature, government, history, economics, and others. You have to read these subjects. You have to specialize in these subjects first before you will become a lawyer. You now go to university and you either do civil law or criminal law. While in other universities it is combined. That is what we call single honors and double honors. So you go to university, you spend 5 years in the university. And people used to say that law is difficult. Law is not difficult. It is as simple as any other course. But the truth of the matter is that you cannot become a lawyer unless your mental ability is above average. If you are below average, you are going to find it very, very difficult. What I mean by above average, you must be able to score at least 51 over 152 over. You don't have to be an excellent student to become a lawyer. If you are just above average, but if you are below average, you are going to find it very difficult to become a lawyer. And one very, very important thing is that you must cultivate the habit of reading. You must read very, very well. You must have the ability to read. You must cultivate. You must make reading as you make eating food. That is, you must like to read. You must always want to read novels, magazines. If you are a ferocious reader, you become a very good lawyer. So how many people want to become lawyers after I have said this much? How many? Has the number increased? Now, I want two people to tell me why they don't want to be a lawyer. Why? Because you must have a reason. Anybody? To tell me why he doesn't want to be a lawyer. Maybe because there's something he thinks is bad about being a lawyer. Nobody? Which class is this? A lawyer.
Why I want to be a lawyer? Yes. I want to fight bad governance in Nigeria as a whole. I want to fight bad government.
Okay. He said he wants to fight bad government policies in Nigeria. You see, being a lawyer is very rewarding in this world and the hereafter. There are people whose lives have been trampled upon. It is only a lawyer that will be able to fight for them. If they don't have a lawyer, they will not be able. There are people, a lot of people. If you go to the prison now, more than 50% of the people that are there are innocent. More than 50% are innocent. If you think I'm telling like, get one of the prison warders and ask him to tell you sincerely whether all the people that are in prison are guilty. Only more than 50% of them are innocent. So if we don't have lawyers in our community, if we don't have lawyers in our society, who is going to fight for those people? And there are offenses in respect of which the defendant, the accused person, cannot be tried unless he has a lawyer. People have been languishing in cell. Some have been there for the past 10, 5, 7 years because they don't have lawyers. They are there. And their offenses are those that cannot be tried unless they have a lawyer. So you should endeavor, you should strive to be lawyers so that you can help your community, so that you can help your country. Yes, anyone with any answer or any question?
I want to stand for justice.
Oh, this is another one. He said he wants to stand for justice. You see, people see lawyers as bad people, but that it is not true. The dress I'm wearing now depicts what a lawyer is. People see you as black from outside, but the inside is white. So lawyers' are always very clean and white, but people see them as bad people. And the truth of the matter is that lawyers are not bad people and lawyers are not liars, the way people say in the community. It is not true. You only say that lawyers are liars because you don't know the law. Because you are required, you are expected to consult a lawyer if you want to buy anything. And now if you fail, if you refuse to consult a lawyer, and then you don't know what the law says, you don't know the procedure of buying that thing, and then you make mistake in buying it, you go to court and the law says, no, you didn't buy this in the way it is supposed to be bought. And then the thing is taken away from you. And then you start saying, hey, the other person took a lawyer for me. It is not true. What my lecturer used to tell me at the law school is that if your client wants to buy 5 naira groundnut, we should call you. Okay, I'm afraid of losing this 5 naira, but I want to buy groundnut. If he's afraid of losing it, he should consult a lawyer. A lawyer will tell you how to buy 5 naira groundnut. Maybe he wants to buy it from a child who is below contract age, or maybe he wants to buy it from a female, and then he asks the female to enter his room, and his enemy is just passing, and the enemy sees a female shoe or sees a female wrapper outside. He calls people around and say, hey, come and see this boy is molesting this girl. Before he gets out of that trouble, he will suffer a lot. So if he consults a lawyer is going to advise him, don't buy this groundnut from this woman inside your room, and don't buy this groundnut from that child who is below contract age. So there are so many things that, and there is nothing in this world that is not covered by the law. Everything you know, even the way you walk on the street, the way you eat, the way you sleep, is covered by the law. The law provides, there is provision, legal provision for everything. And except you have a lawyer, you won't be able, you will not know it. Yes, any question? Any question?
Morning, sir. So why did they say that lawyers are buried upside down? And is it according to the constitution? Buried upside down.
No, I didn't say lawyer. I said the society sees lawyers as black people, as people who are bad. But the law sees lawyers, they are inside, their mind is pure, is white. It is not true that lawyers are bad. Lawyers are good people. Lawyers stand for justice. And the law school, what they will tell you is that even if you have a bad case and the other lawyer, and you have a material, you have evidence that is against your case, you should show it to the other lawyer so that justice will be done. So it is not true that lawyers are bad. But let me tell you something. The society has gone so bad that those who represent the law, some of them are bad privately, personally, but it is not the law that teaches them or taught them to be bad. Just in the same way that you have pastors, you have imams that are bad, you have any other bad person that is bad. That is also how you see people who are bad. You see lawyers that are bad. Of course, there could be people who are bad, but then it is not the profession that teaches them to be bad. Yes, any other question?
Question, sir. I would like to clarify what he said. He said there is a belief that lawyers are buried face down. Yes, that's one. And two, I want to like to know the stance of the law when it comes to capital judgments in Nigeria today.
Let me first of all answer the first question. The first question is that it is not true that lawyers are buried face down. It is not true. I know of lawyers, and nobody knows who goes to heaven, but I know of lawyers who died well. I know of lawyers who lived and are philanthropists, like Gani Fahimi, for instance. Everybody says very good things about Gani Fahimi. So he lived and died very well. And secondly, capital punishment, capital cases, capital offences. You see, by the provision of Kaduna State Administration of Criminal Justice Law, a capital offence is an offence that carries more than 21 years term of imprisonment. Such offences, the law prohibits that an accused person be granted bail in respect of capital offences. Every time an offence carries a punishment that is more than 20 years, or is punishable by life imprisonment, or is punishable by death, that offence is what we call a capital offence. And if an accused person is being accused of committing a capital offence and he comes before a judge, the judge reads out, or the clerk of the court reads out the alleged offence. That we call it a charge. On so day, you went to so place, you fought with so person, you killed that person. On so day, you went to so place, you committed armed robbery. On so day, you went to so place, you committed kidnapping. On so day, you went to so place and committed armed robbery, rape, and other offences. They are all capital offences. Now, the procedure is that the judge reads out the alleged offence. Now, the law expects you to plead, take your plea, that is to plead guilty or otherwise. Now, even if you say, yes, I have committed the offence, the law says that the judge should write not guilty for you. Because the punishment is supreme in the sense that it might end up in you losing your life. So it is the duty of the prosecution to prove the alleged offence beyond reasonable doubt. Even if the defendant admits, even if he says, yes, I committed the offence, the law is that the judge should record him as saying, I am not guilty. The judge cannot, upon admission of the alleged offence, the judge is not allowed to sentence him to death or to 20 years imprisonment or life imprisonment. And the judge cannot try his case if he does not have a lawyer. He must have a lawyer. He must be represented by a lawyer before his case can be heard in court. If he comes before that judge 1,000,000 times, that case will not proceed unless he has a lawyer. So if he cannot afford to hire the services of a lawyer, they will advise him to go to Legal Aid Council. The federal government has an office that it calls Legal Aid Council. They come to court to represent indigent accused persons, people who cannot afford to pay for the services of lawyers. But if you want your case to be handled perfectly with good ability, then you just need a private legal practitioner. Because a lawyer who works under the Legal Aid Council receives salary at the end of the month. So whether he loses his case or not, he will be paid his salary. But a legal practitioner will do his utmost best to ensure that he wins all cases. And now let me say this last thing. The ultimate peak of a lawyer is to become a senior advocate. SAN. That is his ultimate. That is the highest rank a lawyer will get to in his profession, to become a senior advocate. And it is not true. It is not what people think, that it is the number of cases you win in court that determines whether you be a SAN. There are people who have done, for instance, 10 cases and they have only won one, and they are senior advocates today. There are only certain criteria to attend before you become a senior advocate. A senior advocate is a very, very senior lawyer. Not necessarily senior in age, but senior and perfect in the profession. Somebody who has done at least 2 cases at the High Court, 2 cases at the Court of Appeal, and 2 cases at the Supreme Court. So that is the person who applies. He first of all have to apply before they will adorn him with the seal, and then they will call him a senior advocate. There's any other.
Benefit of the learners. We have had cases of awaiting trial of teenagers before judgment is given. What kind of case do we have awaiting trials for teenagers before they attain the age of accountability, that is 18? And can the counsel to an accused, that's the second question, the counsel to an accused, can he appeal or appeal a case that has been ruled by the Supreme Court, which is the appeals court?
Let me answer the last question. You see, there is no more appeal after judgment by the Supreme Court. There is no more appeal. The Osama will call him quoting Allah Isa. That is the peak. If the Supreme Court decides the matter and you are aggrieved by the decision of the Supreme Court, you only say, okay, I leave it to God. We will get to heaven and God will judge us. So the Supreme Court, there is no appeal after the Supreme Court. Now, a teenager who is below the age of minority, that's somebody who has not attained the age of majority, somebody who is 18 and below, is not usually tried by the regular and normal court. We have what we call juvenile courts. Those courts are for people who have not attained the age of majority. They are not adults, and they are not usually kept in the same detention facility as an adult. That is why if you take a teenager, even if a judge issues a detention warrant against a teenager, if the court believes, if the court security, if the court police takes him to the prison authorities will not accept him, because he's not expected to be mingled. He's not expected to be detained where adults are being detained. There is a private and separate detention facility for teenagers. Now, he talks about awaiting trial. That is one of the serious problems we have in Nigeria, where people languish in prison custody because they are awaiting trial. While people languish in prison custody because nobody knows them. People languish in prison custody because their case is not on the headlines. Nobody knows they exist. Now, somebody is being accused of committing a capital offense. And as I said earlier, a capital offense is an offense that is either punishable with death or punishable with life imprisonment or punishable with a term of imprisonment more than 21 years. Now, the police finish their investigation. They compile the case file. We call it case file. The case file comprises of the complaint lodged by the complainant and the result of the investigation carried out by the police. That is what we call the case file. And exhibits, if it is a case that requires exhibits. Now, that file is supposed to be transmitted to the Ministry of Justice. Every state in Nigeria has a ministry called Ministry of Justice. That Ministry of Justice is being headed by the Attorney General. The Attorney General doubles as the Attorney General and the Commissioner for Justice. The Ministry of Justice is being headed by the Attorney General or Commissioner for Justice. You could either call him the Attorney General or you could call him Commissioner for Justice. Now, under him, there are several lawyers who were being employed by the government, and the government pays them salary at the end of every month. They are entitled to all benefits that accrues to all civil servants. Now, those are the people who prosecute criminal or capital offences. Now, by the time that file is transmitted to the Ministry of Justice, because of our attitude to government work, the person who is assigned that file, if he comes to work in the morning, he just good morning. He goes out to do his normal private businesses. Instead of him, he has been assigned a fresh file, 2-3 files. Instead of him to sit down, go through the file, see the evidence, prepare what we call a charge. If he prepares a charge, he takes that charge to the person in prison and say, we are ready to try you. We are ready to try you. See your charge. Get a lawyer. It will take ages. First of all, from the police, it might take 2-3 years. You have to go to the police to push your file to be transmitted to the Ministry of Justice. If not, your person will languish in prison. You go and give them money. They will now process your file to this office, from this office to this office, finally to the Ministry of Justice. If you don't do that, your person languishes in jail. Now, if it gets to the Ministry of Justice, you have to go and find out. Please, file so-so. Who was assigned that file? They will tell you so-so lawyer. You pay for your person to be prosecuted. Which type of country are we? The person who is assigned that file will not attend to that file. You will not get him, you grease his palms. He will not take the file and prepares a charge. And most times, why we see criminals roaming about is because somebody's palms have been greased. Maybe from the Ministry of Justice, or maybe at the police level. The Ministry of Justice man collects money. Not in all cases, in very few instances. The way you know Nigerian work, he grease his palm. Instead of him to prepare a charge, he just prepare what you call advice from the Ministry of Justice. Advice from the Ministry of Justice. Advice from the Ministry of Justice is a summary of the case file, and we say, I have gone through this case file. The accused person has not committed any offense. And the person will be handed over or will be discharged and will be discharged because an advice has come from the Ministry of Justice. If you go to the prison now, ask the others, you see people who have been there for the past 10 years, 7 years without trial because they don't have anybody who will push their file, first of all from the police level, secondly from the Ministry of Justice. We private lawyers, we accuse government lawyers have been lackadaisical, they have slap-happy attitude. Their attitude to work is very, very poor because they are sure of their salary at the end of the month. So they will not prepare a charge. And let me tell you one very, very fundamental, very, very serious issue. Now, the Constitution says that Section 35, subsection 4A and B of the 1999 Constitution, browse it from your phone, you will see what I'm saying. Section 35, subsection 4A and B says that from the time of arrest, don't put it in your phone, you see it. 35, subsection 4A and B says that from the point of arrest, from the day you are arrested, if you are being incarcerated, you must be tried within 2 months, only 2 months. Only 2 months. From the day they arrest you, the constitution says you must be tried within 2 months. That is, you must be arraigned before a court of competent jurisdiction that has the power to try that offence within 2 months. 2 months, just 2 months. You go to the prison now. More than 10 years, 7 years. Now, if you have been granted bail, you are accused of committing a capital offence. And I said earlier that in respect of there is no bail, capital offences are not bailable. But they are bailable sometimes when there is exceptional circumstance. One of the exceptional circumstances is when you see these rich men, the moment they arrest them for one offence or the other, because most of them, they are above 50. Just subject them to medical test, you see that he has one serious ailment or the other. It is when he is arrested that you call his doctor, and the doctor will check him. If you take me to subject me to medical test now, you definitely find me with one terminal illness or the other. You definitely, at my age now, you definitely find me with one terminal illness or the other. Now, because these people are rich people, and because most of them are above 50, they will call their doctor. The doctor will just run a routine test on them, and they will say, he has diabetes, he has BP, he has this, and then he will come to the day he's been taken to court. He will come, he will be working like this, he will be working like this, and that is an exceptional circumstance. The judge will have no option other than to grant him bail. The judge will have no option other than to grant him bail, and that is why you see these rich people are going about after they have been accused of offences. So in respect of, now there are times when you will be accused of committing a capital offence, and because of an exceptional circumstance you are granted bail. The law says that from the day you are arrested, you have just 3 months. The Ministry of Justice must start doing your case. They must start calling witnesses to prove the alleged offence. If not, the court will discharge you either conditionally or unconditionally. There's nothing wrong with the laws. It is the implementation of the law. The people who implement the law do not implement it the way they are supposed to implement it. Right from police investigation. Now let me tell you a very, very interesting story. Very, very interesting story. Somebody is being accused of murder of Mr. A. This is Mr. A's room. This is Mr. B's room. Now Mr. B is being accused of murdering Mr. A. They went in the morning, they saw Mr. A in pool of blood. And they saw drops of blood leading to Mr. B's room. Upon search, they discovered a knife with blood on it. They discovered cloth smeared with blood. Now to a reasonable man who committed that murder. Mr. B, that is to a reasonable man. But if you subject that case to a thorough investigation the way it is supposed to be done, you will hardly find him guilty. Now let me tell you what happened at the end of the case. Now, Mr. B was arrested. The police gathered evidence. They saw drops of blood from Mr. A's room up to Mr. B's room. They saw his clothes smeared with blood. They saw the knife smeared with blood. Now, because we are in Nigeria, the police thought they have exhibits, and his trial started. The prosecution called their witnesses. They called IPO who investigated the matter, who carried out the investigation and the search and others. And he now tendered the knife, he tendered the cloth, and there is evidence from neighbors. They called about 3 witnesses who are neighbors. They say, this cloth, this is Mr. B's cloth. This is his cloth, it is his cloth. One of them even came and said, it is me and him that went to the market and saw there and bought this cloth. So the cloth, beyond a reasonable man's head, Mr. B is guilty. But you know what the police did not do in that case? They ought to have subjected that blood to laboratory test, so that they will be able to know that that blood that they found on that man's cloth and the knife is really the blood of Mr. A. Now Mr. B in his defense, he said, have you forgotten? The day he died was the day of my naming ceremony, and I went to slaughter the goat, and the God was fighting with me, and my cloth was smeared with blood. That blood you saw, and I had the crowd, Mr. B. I rushed to his room, and the cloth was with me. That was why you saw drops of blood from Mr. A's room to my room. And because of that sleep, the man went scot-free. It was not subjected to laboratory tests. If you subject that blood to, even if it is a dry blood, if you subject it to laboratory tests, you'll be able to prove that the blood on Mr. B's cloth, the blood on the knife, the blood on the drops of blood, and the blood of blood of Mr. A. But because we're in Nigeria, that was not done. Issues of, do you know that if you need handwriting expert, if you are alleged to have committed forgery, you need to go to Lagos to bring a handwriting expert to come and show the court the difference between this signature and that signature. Why must you have to go to Lagos to bring an expert? Why don't we have them at the police state headquarters? Because the government have refused to employ them and train them. Take them abroad, pay for their training, bring them back, train as much as possible. As at the time I did one matter, the witness kept on coming from Lagos to come and testify. So how many people, how many complainants have the wherewithal, have the money to sponsor, and the government will not provide his transport, his hotel fees? That is why criminals go scot-free. Thank you very much.
Please, a round of applause for the barrister. Trust me, it has been so amazing. Lots of secrets have been revealed this morning before you. Like I always tell you, no knowledge is a waste. You will never know where you will need all of these. So one of the things we do here is to empower you with everything possible. So when you go out of this place, you have the boldness to be called a complete student. That's the idea. So I'd like to welcome the head girl who shall briefly appreciate the barrister before my principal, because I know barrister has a duty to attend to briefly. We're taking his time. And I'd like to apologize to our CEO. He has been seated inside seat, sir. Thank you for your time. After this, you will hear from another aspect of life. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. As you all know, I'm the head girl of Greater Heights Academy. Please, a round of applause for our barrister. You really did well. Please appreciate it. Thank you, sir. God continue to fill you with more knowledge as you have just fitted on us. Thank you, sir.
To Greater Heights Academy, citadel of knowledge and the school for the child. Once again, welcome, sir. Tell him welcome, everybody. We really appreciate. Thank you for honoring our invitation. As future leaders, you've learned a lot. Have you learned a lot? Sir, we really appreciate it. Thank you. Future leaders have learned a lot. So Malda have learned a lot. Maybe next time, maybe I will switch to become a law. When I come to the law courts, people will be, wow, can you hear her talking? Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.